And we are back. What is up, everybody? Getting into the core feature of our app, the chats. In the last video, we hooked up OpenAI chats to our chats. And in this video, we're going to actually now start writing these chats to our backend. In the next video, we'll then fetch them. And then at that point, we'll have basically a full chat feature. Full chat feature in 3 videos. I think that's pretty good. Let's jump into the code base. I don't want to waste any time because this course is long enough. It is now Friday night. We're staying in this weekend to record this course. And you guys are probably staying in to take this course. So one day, I think all this time will pay off for both of us. I have a good feeling about what we are learning here. We started writing this on send message press, and this function is getting really long. This is actually the longest function that we have in our entire code base. I want to just clean it up a little bit before we go and keep adding to it. Firstly, let's put this code within the chat message model so that the chat message model can be the owner of creating new messages. Not that we have to do it, but I think it will just make our code a little bit cleaner when we actually go and create a new message. I'm going to open up the second editor here, and I will shift Command O to quickly open the chat message model. And then in here, let's go and create a static function. Let's call this one new user message. So every time the user sends a message, this will return us the new chat message model. So I will cut this and paste it in here. For the chat message, a random generated ID is fine. For the chat ID, we're actually going to have one when we actually upload these to our database. So let's pass in the chat ID and we'll make this the chat ID. For the author ID, that's going to be the current user ID. So let's just set here the user ID of type string. Paste this here. The new chat message, let's call this the message of type AI chat model. We'll pass in the message. Seen by IDs, we've been setting it to nil for a new chat, but let's actually mark that the current user already saw their own chat. Because obviously we don't want like the new flag to show for the user for their own message. Let's just make this an array with the user ID. Cool. Now we should be able to call new user message. We don't have the chat ID yet, so let's just say let chat ID equals uuid.string for now. We'll fix that in a minute. And then we'll pass in the chat ID. We need the current user ID, so current user dot user ID. Where's this current user coming from? This current user is the actual user profile. Let's actually pull in the auth manager and just pull it directly from the auth manager. So let's come down here and I'll get rid of the current user and we will just let UID equals try auth manager dot get auth ID. We'll pass in the UID here. And then the new chat message will go here. Let's do the same thing for the chat message model from the avatar. So let's open back up and create another function here called another static function called new AI message. This will also return us a chat message model. And I will cut this, paste it in here. Again, we can do a UUID here. We're going to want to pass in a chat ID, which we'll put here. This will be the chat ID. Let's pass in an avatar ID of type string. It's the avatar ID that it looks like it's really coming from the AI, but obviously we're calling the author the avatar. Let's also pass in a message to this one. The message here. Seen by IDs. I'll put as a blank array for now. And date created will be right now. Let's again go here and call chat message model dot new AI message. And we'll pass in here the chat ID, the avatar ID, and the response. I think we can just put right there. All right, our code looks a little cleaner. While we're doing this, we also created a new avatar in the create avatar view. So we had the similar code here. We created a new avatar. let's also make that code a little reusable. So let's just quickly jump into the avatar model. And let's create a static func called new avatar. This will return us an avatar model. We can actually use self here because we are within the avatar model struct. And I guess actually for the chat message model, we should return self as well. For the new avatar, I will cut this, paste it here. Let's inject the name of type string, option of type character option, action of type character action, as well as location of type character location. So this will be the option, this will be the action, this will be the location. The image name will be nil. For now, we'll let the author ID, we'll pass in a string here. The author ID will go right here. So our name should be name. Great. Now let's call avatar model.new avatar. Let's triple click Control M and we'll pass in the same content. So I'll actually undo this and then copy it and redo it. And now here, let's just copy the avatar name, character option, character action, character location, author ID is the UID, and we're good to go. All right. Just a little bit of refactor as we move forward here. Let's jump back to the chat view, chat view, and let's put in some more work on our send message pressed. The first thing that I want to do is create the actual chat in our database. So remember, we're going to first create a chat document, and then we're going to create an array of messages that is a sub-collection of the chat document. So right now we just need, we need to get a chat ID so that we can actually run this code and write it to the database. So the first question is going to be, when do we want to actually create the chat in our backend? And there's going to be a little bit of unique code to this app for this part of the app. So typically you're going to think that every time you click into a chat, we should create this chat on the backend, right? But two things are apt to happen here. One is if we click into Emily, firstly, we need to know whether or not there actually is a chat already on the back end with us and Emily. Because if it's an existing chat, we want to use the existing one. We don't want to create a new one. Secondly, you could imagine if a user is using your app a lot and maybe they click into a whole bunch of these, you don't want to actually just create all of these chats if the user's not actually texting anything. If the user's not saying anything and they're just clicking around, you're going to create all these extra chats in the back end for no reason. So really, we want to only create a chat if there is no existing chat and the user actually sends a message in this chat. With the logic of creating a new chat, I'm going to X out of the editor on the right. We have at the top here, we don't actually have the chat yet in our code. So let's go ahead and at state private var, we'll say chat of type chat model. I'll make it optional. We'll set it equal to nil to start. So when we come to the screen, we're going to try to load up the chat. But assuming right now we don't have any chats in our database, so when the user actually goes to send a message in here, let's do it maybe after the text validation. We'll say if the chat is equal to nil, meaning no chat is loaded in this screen, then let's go ahead and create a new chat. All right, so let's go ahead and create all of our data layers for chats now. We have a folder on the left for chat. Let's right click and create a new empty file called chat manager. I know you guys already know what to do here, so I'm going to leave this one to you. Let's see how far you guys can get without me. I'm going to create a protocol here called chat service that is sendable, and we'll create a function called create new chat that takes a chat of type chat model. It's asynchronous and this throws. All right, go ahead in here and create a manager, create two services, create the mock as well as the Firebase, and then go ahead and actually add the function to create a new chat. See if you guys can get through this without me. And then I'm going to go ahead and do it right now. Creating a new chat, we're just going to set this data model. So we're going to make chat model conform to Codable and see if you guys can figure out how to conform to Codable without me as well. So either pause the video now or I'm going to get going now, and I'm going to do it relatively quickly because we've done this a bunch of times already in our app. Let's create a struct called mock chat service. I will copy chat service, conforms to chat service, create new chat, doesn't need to do anything. Let's create another struct. Firebase chat service conforms to chat service and create new chat. Now, if we go and we look at the avatar service, the Firebase avatar service, we're going to basically do the same thing that we did for the Firebase. Let's create a collection here. The collection will be chats. And inside the collection, we'll write a new chat. Let's import our Firebase packages. And when we wrote the Firebase user service, we had this code here, which I'll copy and paste, to set a codable type right into the file. So we're going to call this the chat.id, and we will set the chat and we'll merge it in. This is not going to work because we need to conform to Codable. So let's jump into our chat model. And just like all the other data models, we're going to conform to Codable, and we're going to add custom coding keys. ID can be fine. That's the chat ID. We'll have a user underscore ID, avatar underscore ID, date underscore created, as well as date modified. And then let's give this a raw value of string. Let's jump back. This should now work. Let's come down here, and just like we did with our avatar manager, we're going to create an observable. And this will be called the chat manager with a service that is called chat service. We will inject the service, self.service equals service. And let's go ahead and copy the syntax for this function, paste it here. Let's go try await service.create new chat. We'll pass in the chat. Cool. Lastly, let's jump to the root of our application, the dependencies. And in here, I'm going to add to both of these. We'll add in a chat manager of type chat manager. We'll set chat manager equal to chat manager, and we'll pass in the Firebase chat service. Then in our previews, we'll add a .environment with a chat manager, and we'll pass in the mock chat service. Just like that. So now everywhere that has the preview environment will automatically have our chat manager. And now we don't have to go and update our previews every time we add a new dependency. All the previews should still work. This is sweet. I hope you guys were able to get this far without me. Let's jump to the chat view. Go to the top and let's go ahead and add in a chat manager of type chat manager. Make sure our preview is working, which they will because we have the preview environment. And then let's try await chat manager, create new chat. And now we need to actually create the chat. Just like we did here with the chat, we made a static function. Let's jump into chat model. Let's create in here a static function called new. And this will return us type self, which is the chat model. Option enter, triple click, control M. Let's pass in here a user ID of type string as well as an avatar ID of type string. The user ID will go here, the avatar ID will go here, date created will be right now, and date modified will be right now as well. Now for the UID, we can go and create a random generated UID like we've been doing for all of our other data models. We can. That's perfectly fine, not going to be a problem in our system. But occasionally, I actually want to have specific IDs. And so in this situation, I want to basically attempt to unique all of the chats between this user and this avatar. So you can think about this user should only ever have one chat with this avatar ID, right? So if we combined these two IDs, we should have a unique identifier for the chat between this user and this avatar. So if it was like, if the user ID was user123, and the avatar ID was avatar123, then I should be able to create a unique identifier called user123 avatar123. I don't have to do that. It's not going to be a problem, but I'm never going to have a situation on my app where two users have the same ID. I'll never have a situation where the user has multiple chats with the same avatar. So this will actually give us a unique ID between this user and this avatar. This way, it also covers the edge case where if we were creating a second chat for the same avatar on accident, it would overwrite the original one and we would always have one in the app rather than the user ending up with a bunch of chats for the same avatar. Just a developer preference when building this. We could obviously do the auto-generated ID, but I feel like this is probably a cool use case for doing something other than a random generated string. Let's go ahead and make a string here. We'll paste in the user ID, and then we'll do underscore, and then I'll do the avatar ID. Jump back to our chat screen. Let's say let new chat equals chat model dot new, and we need the UID, and then at the top we have the avatar ID. Let's take our new chat and write it to Firebase. And I'll just put some little if chat is nil, then create a new chat. Now, before we actually run it, there is a couple things that I want to just quickly tweak. So if chat is nil, we create a new chat, but then after we create the chat, we should set the local variable chat equal to the new chat that we just created here. So if this is successful and it doesn't throw an error, let's set self.chat equal to the new chat. Let's go ahead and build and run it to a simulator, and it should work. If it does work, we'll be able to see it in our console. All right, so we are opening here. Let's talk to Olivia. And we have a crash. No observable object found for chat manager. All right. Oh, it's okay. And it's literally right where the crash happened. We added the chat manager to our dependencies, but we did not add it to the environment here. Let's go ahead and put it at the top. We'll add a chat manager and build and run. There we go. Easy fix. When you set up your code the right way and you get a crash, generally it should be pretty quick and easy to find where the crash is coming from. Let's talk to Steve. Steve looks pretty cool. We got Steve incremented with click count. Let's check that out again. Click count, cool. You should create a new collection here when we talk to Steve. Let's say, hey. We need at least 4 characters. Hello, Steve. And when a new collection is created in Firebase, it doesn't update in real time. Let's go ahead and reload the page quick. I think chats will be here. And you can see our chat ID is the user ID underscore the avatar ID, which is cool. And we have at least our chat in the system now. I'm going to type one more thing, and then hopefully it does not create a second chat. It did not, which is great. We have a quick bug in our chat. So we can see that I sent hello Steve, and I sent this ASDF message, but it's coming through as Steve is saying it. So we have 2 problems here. One is that is current user is clearly false. Is current user is based on the message ID equal to the current user.user ID. So 2 things are happening here. One is when we create a new chat, we're using the auth UID, not the current user ID. So coming from the auth manager, not the user manager. Let's actually update this to come from the auth manager as well. We'll do auth manager.auth.uid. This should be the current authenticated user's ID. Cool. And then the second problem is that the current user at the top of our screen is this mock data. And let's actually just load the current user from our user manager. So we'll pull in here the user manager of type user manager. And we should be able to synchronously update the current user. So let's put here dot on appear. We'll do a private func load current user. And we'll set the current user equal to user manager dot current user. Let's go ahead and call load current user. Secondly, now that we actually have the current user has a custom profile color. So the profile color here is teal, and part of the user's theme is going to be setting their text boxes to their selected color. So let's jump into the actual chat bubbles now. We have our chat bubble view builder. Let's get the canvas working. Option Command Enter. Reload the canvas quick. Let's pass in here, in addition to is current user, we'll pass in current user background color of type color, and we'll set it equal to the accent by default. Current user profile color. So here, let's set the background color to current user profile color. We should be able to update our mocks now. So this is some longer content is here. We should have profile color. Let's do .blue. Hopefully our preview updates. Cool. Lastly, let's update the initializer for this. So I'll copy this, Command Shift F to paste it and find all the places that we implemented it. So that is going to be right here. And then let's go and set the current user profile color equal to the current user dot profile color calculated. And then we'll do otherwise dot accent. Let's build and run it to the simulator one more time. Now, if all goes well, we should have a little bit better user experience in our code here. Let's click open to any of these. I'll go back into Emily and let's say something. Hello there. It's got my profile color and my text is coming in here on the right. I am just noticing that when we click into Emily, we have, or any of these, we have the text up here changed from chat to Olivia. Not a really good user experience. Let's just make the blank string and then go to Olivia. That will look a little bit better. And now we have our chats up and running and in our database. That is all for this video. And in the next video, we're going to actually start writing the chat messages now also to Firebase. Let's Option Command C. Let's call this a feature and we'll call this create chats. Let's stage it. Let's commit it. Push it on up to GitHub, and I'll see you guys in the next video.